Hey, we're here to talk about the most important skill to help you grow your business results and make more sales. Sound good? So if you're brand new to me, my name is Susan McVeigh. I'm a business sales strategist. I help entrepreneurs, business owners just like you sell with more ease without the sleaze so that you can make more money and impact in your business while living your life of freedom and flexibility. So today we're talking all about the most important skill that I have come to really identify for those that are continually successful. So if you're brand new to me, or if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and use hashtag replay or drop me a note and let me know where in the world you are dialing in from. So grab your drink of choice. Mine's going to be water today. And I want to have a frank and honest conversation. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think is the number one and most important skill set for a successful business owner, entrepreneur, especially when it comes to selling? It's because I've listed a bunch of things that it's not. It's not a fancy marketing funnel. It's not about going to more networking events. It's not about doing all of these very specific strategies and tactics, although they are important tools to help you to grow your business. The foundational piece, it might surprise you, and we're going to dive in deep today, is actually so I've studied a lot of people, both in the online and in the offline space. And in the offline space, I grew a business with a very small but mighty team to $15 million from scratch with over 400 clients. And we did it the old-fashioned way. And I'm going to tell you that managing that many people, I think there were 8 of us. But now, even in the online space, every time I ask somebody who's doing well, every time I ask someone who has been able to grow and scale their business, they might describe it in different ways, but this is the number one skill set that I see time and time and time again. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's listening. Now, every single piece of this puzzle, I know, you're rolling your eyes at me right now. You're going, well, duh, like, I'm a good listener, so how come I'm still not making the kind of sales that you want? I'm going to challenge you because I just got off an amazing call this morning where I was doing market research, a market interview. And I know if you're any stage of your business, whether you're at the very, very early stages or you're more established, or even when you're growing and scaling, I'm going to tell you, even the businesses that have been doing this for a long time, they do focus groups. They do research. They do surveys. They're constantly looking for feedback and information. The best businesses do this all the time. Did you buy something at the store the other day and on the bottom of your receipt, does it give you like click here or enter to win? Because they want your feedback. They want your information. Businesses that do well get and gather information because they want to listen. They want to listen to what it is that's important to you as a consumer, as a customer, as a potential paying client. And so today, if you are missing the boat or you're thinking, well, gosh, I listen all the time. I'm listening. What do I do with this information? Because I'm still not seeing the results that I want. I'm still not hitting the targets. I'm not getting the kind of consistent income that I want. And I'm still seeing like this churn and burn or the income roller coaster, right? Like I'll have a great month and then it goes down, and I'll have a great month and then it goes down. Now there's lots of other pieces that go into building a business that's more sustainable and stable. But I'm going to tell you that if you think that you know it all and that you're not really tapping into your market to tell you what it is that they want and need, then you're missing a huge opportunity and potentially a lot of people that you can help, and subsequent to that, a lot of money that can go in your pocket. So the ones that consistently do this well are the ones that are having a lot more growth. And so if you're thinking right now, well, gosh, I've been at this for eons and I've been doing all of these things, I'm going to ask first, who is it that says this? Tony Robbins, right? Tony Robbins says, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask. So here's the thing. Are you asking the right questions to be able to even listen to the answers for? Because I know for me, when I first started actually my corporate career, I asked the wrong questions. I asked the wrong question. So it didn't matter how many times I asked and I listened for the answer, they were still telling me the wrong stuff. And by wrong stuff, I mean it wasn't helpful for me to be able to move them forward into the next step of the sales conversation. Because remember, selling is about having a conversation at the very core of it. It doesn't matter what the mechanism is. Even if you are allowing people to purchase on your website, right? Like if you run an e-com store, so bless you, that's not my area of expertise. But I'm going to say, even for that, you're having a conversation with somebody. You just are not there talking to them. They have to read the copy on your webpage to the point where it feels like, wow, like they're speaking truth into me. Like this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is going to help me to do X, whatever the X is that they want. So when you're on a webinar, when you're on a stage, when you're in person, when you are in the shopping lineup, when you're at the library and you have an opportunity to talk to your ideal customers and you're actually asking them the right questions, then the answers that they give you are going to be so much more impactful because they're going to give you the information that you need to either match them up with something that you already offer or to say, I think I might need to create something for that. I'm hearing this over and over and over again, right? And so I'll share with you at the very beginning of my business what ended up happening. Let me finish the story. I was asking the wrong questions. I was asking the wrong questions in corporate because I just wanted to start a conversation. And so initially, what I was doing was I was asking a lot of closed-ended questions. Now, closed-ended, as a reminder, are ones that you can answer with a yes or a no, right? So if you can answer with a yes or a no, it's a closed question, which means as soon as they answer, you're done. They're not always the best conversation starters. They have a time and a place in the flow of the conversation. But if you do it too early on, which that was me, I kept asking all of these random yes and no questions in order to try and get people to keep moving forward in the conversation. They don't work. They work a little bit, but then they stop working, because imagine if you were having a conversation with me and the only questions that I was asking you could be answered by a yes or a no. It feels like you're being questioned at the police office, right? That's where the 20 questions comes in play and people start getting annoyed. So the better questions, at least to begin with, are open-ended. Now, you don't always want to start with them right away, but it definitely can help, because with one question, you're going to potentially get like 10 minutes worth of conversation instead of 10 questions to fill the 10-minute gap. You feel me on this? So if you are right now thinking, well, gosh, I don't know what question to ask, tell me about yourself. Open-ended, right? That's super simple and easy. It is my go-to anytime that I'm stuck. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your business. So what is your area of expertise? You want to stick that in. Tell me about your health. Tell me about your relationships. Tell me about your family. Tell me about where you're living. These are ways to be able to open up the doorway a little bit so that you can have a better chance of hearing and listening for those clues that are going to tell you, this person is my person. This person is the person that I can help. This is my ideal client and a potential individual that I'm going to be able to work with in my business. If you don't ask the right questions because you're like inundating them, people start to shut down and they're because nobody likes being badgered, right? It feels like you're being nagged at. And that's why when you think about the quality of the questions that you're asking, if you spend more time in preparing the questions, the outcome is going to become so much better. And in fact, when you ask fewer questions, it feels better for everybody, right? And so this is where the 80-20 rule for listening versus talking comes in play. I want you to do an audit of yourself right now. When you are having a sales conversation, when you're having a discussion with somebody who potentially could be your client, who's doing the majority of the talking? Is it you? Or is it your potential customer? So when we go back to my story, when I first started in corporate, the person who was doing the most talking, it was this gal. And no wonder that I was struggling to get customers to say yes to the offers that I was making. I wasn't inviting them into a conversation. And so if you are just jumping the gun and going like, oh, you have what I can sell, you have a problem that I can help you with, and immediately jumping forward will get Guess what? They don't know why, because all of a sudden you've gone from asking one question and you haven't been able to make the connection between what they're talking about to where you're trying to get them to. And that feels salesy. That feels sleazy. That feels very like clickbaity or bait and switch. Like, what just happened here? So when we do a really good job of listening, because you've asked the right questions, it makes it way easier to be able to then create that opportunity to invite people to continue the conversation. That's really what sales is about. It's an opportunity for you to continue to make commitments to say, I'm on the right page, you're on the right page. Yes. Okay, great, move forward. And so every time we do this, we're gaining more and more and more commitment. And when you do a good job of listening, when you actually lean in and pay attention to what's being said, but also to what's not being said, because remember, as an expert, you know what's missing. You know where they're getting stuck. You understand what may be keeping them stuck and trapped behind the words that they're using. Right? And so if you don't have the courage to be able to ask the tough questions, well, gosh, how are you going to be able to do that once you actually start working together and they're actually giving money to you? Now, this is not a matter of you providing free coaching or advice during a sales conversation. In fact, don't do that. Please don't do that. I know that there's lots of gurus, experts that say do that and like consult and sell at the same time. That makes things very confusing. You don't have permission to coach people unless you do, right? But even like you need to have a coaching agreement or some kind of acknowledgement that I've given you permission to actually give me solutions, because otherwise you're putting a Band-Aid on like an infected sore. Make sense? Hello, Raza. Thanks for joining me. You're brand new to me. Would love to know where in the world you're from. So when you're able to combine these things, because it's really important that you take in the time to prepare. You ask really good quality questions, but then here's the other problem I see over and over and over again is you've taken the time, you've done the preparation. Let me know if this sounds like you. You ask the questions, but you're so nervous. You're so nervous you don't want to miss the next question that you don't actually listen to the answer. That was me too. And you just keep going on the next question. Have you ever been a participant when somebody's doing that to you? I'm going to tell you, I had that experience actually over the phone. I don't know why phone sales get such a bad rap for this. Over the phone, and I realized they are reading from a script, which I love scripts. I think they're great for when you're starting. I think they're great for when you're learning, because you have to go through and make sure that you don't forget. But if you don't pay attention to what the answer is so that you can navigate and be able to pivot like you would in a real conversation, because you are having a real conversation, then guess what? That person doesn't feel heard. They don't feel understood. They don't feel a connection to you. You've lost rapport completely, because now your credibility has gone out the window. Because if they've said something in response to a question and you've basically ignored it and moved on as if they didn't say that at all, you might as well not have asked the question in the first place. And too often what's being shared is like, just follow the script, just follow the script. And in fact, I have worked in places before where we incorrectly taught this way. And so I've learned from my own mistakes, because we would go through and teach the reps, like, just follow the script, and they would get marked, right? On whether or not they asked a specific question. Well, at the end of the day, if it's not appropriate for somebody, don't you get upset if somebody's asking you a question and you're wondering, what's the point? Why are you asking me this? It's because you didn't listen. And if you're not listening as you move through the conversation, then how in the world are you expecting that somebody's going to take a recommendation from you, which is the outcome, right? The end outcome is for you to make an offer, to extend an invitation, for you to enroll your clients into your programs. Well, that's a recommendation. You're recommending they take another step with you. You're recommending that they make this purchase. You're recommending that they work with you in some capacity. If you haven't taken the time to listen to them, why would they take the time to listen to you? And this is the thing that's missing, I think, when we talk about all of these strategies and tactics. They're important, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, if you're doing it on a shaky foundation, thinking that you can bypass the step of actually listening to people, that it's important to gather information and utilize that in the best way possible because you're the expert, then we're missing the boat, because people want to be connected. They want to be heard and listened to. And if you're going through the motions, but you don't know how to connect the dots, then I strongly encourage you to take a pause, to reflect, and to see where are the gaps in my business. So here are 3 things that I think you could do immediately today. Number 1 is look at the questions you're asking. The questions that you're asking today. Are they high quality? Do they have a combination of open-ended, where people are going to talk a little bit more, and as well some close-ended? Because if you have too many open-ended, people are potentially going to just go off on a tangent. You use the closed, the yes and no, in order to confirm what you heard. If I understand you correctly, you said this about that. Is that right? Yes or no, right? So you want to make sure that as you go through the conversation and you are demonstrating that you're listening, that you confirm that by using that combination of different types of questions. So that's your first audit. The second part is, are you so attached to your script or the questions that you're asking that you actually aren't actively listening? That's number 2, right? Are you actually adapting to the information you're receiving so that it actually is a conversation? Because that's the whole purpose. And then the third thing is active listening. So what happens if you're like me and you're like, oh man, I just totally forgot what they told me? Active listening means that you write things down. Now, I know sometimes we get really like, ooh, how do I do that? Because you've been told maybe I have to maintain eye contact. I need to how do I make sure that I don't forget my questions? I need to refer to this, and they're on this screen. And like, there's so many things that might be going on at the same time. You tell people, you just tell them like, hey, I have questions prepared. Is it all right if I'm going to have to refer to this because I just want to make sure that I don't forget anything. Great. You are going to ask for permission. Is it all right if I take notes? Because I want to make sure that I'm not missing something in the conversation that's important to us to discuss. Great. In my 20 plus years, talking to people is like almost 40 years, but specifically around like a sales focused environment, I've had 0 people say, no, you can't use the questions, and no, you can't write down notes. 0. So, because remember, it's about setting expectations and making sure that people understand why it is that you're doing it. If you're doing it in a way to better serve them and better serve you, then just let people know. There's no point in hiding it. Like when I'm on video and I'm referring to my notepad, I usually tell people like I'm looking over just to make sure that I don't forget something. You can do the same thing, because I'm going to tell you if you don't, and somebody's wondering like, oh, I can hear that scratching noise in the background. What's going on? They are going to come up with their own answer. It might not be the answer that you want, right? They might be thinking, oh my gosh, they're like making a grocery list. They're totally distracted. They're not listening to me at all. So you need to be able to give them the narrative. You need to give them the answer and let them know ahead of time so that you maintain your leadership role during that conversation. So I hope this was helpful for you. I know, you might be like, this is super basic, but I'm going to tell you, 90% of the time, when I audit my clients, when I actually sit down and we review their sales calls, when I do any mystery shops, when I do shadow work and I actually sit in the corner and I watch what you're doing or I listen, I realize you're actually not listening. You're thinking about something else. You're thinking about the next question. You're thinking about, oh my gosh, what if they say no? Oh my goodness, what if they say I can't afford it? What if they ask about the price right now and I'm not ready to tell them? All of these things that are like rolling around in your head, it means that you actually aren't listening. The best way to do that is just to be present in the moment. Take notes, take a breath, and just really take the opportunity to connect to the person who's sharing their story with you. And don't make it mean more than it means right now, because you need to be on point for yourself before you can even extend the invitation to continue working with you. So I hope this was helpful for you. This is part of my live series here on this page until the end of the month. which I think is Friday. Losing track of the days. So come and join me every single day, and we will be diving in deep on one particular sales strategy or topic that might be helpful for you. If you would, there's a couple of things happening. So right now, you are invited to hop on over to the waitlist for Sales Mastery Society. We're about to open the doors very, very soon, but you will be the first to know when you're on the waitlist. So you can go over there, salesmasterysociety.com, and I will be the first to let you know. The second part is, I think it's this way or this way. I don't know which way on the video. I am doing a live video series exclusively for my community over on Facebook, Successful Sales Strategies. The link to sign up is in one of those posts. You can go and check us out. There is a 3-part video. I will be doing it live. This is not one of those where I'm fake live. Like I will be live, but over on my Facebook group. So if you would like to dive in deep on how to make sure that you have the fastest path to consistent cash and clients in your business, no matter if you're starting out, growing, or scaling, I invite you to come and join me on my 3-part live video series. It's a masterclass. I'd love to be able to see you there. If this is something that you're struggling with, if you're going through that feast or famine, if you are stuck on the hamster wheel of constantly working harder and harder and not seeing the results that match, if you are struggling with the roller coaster income months, right? And you just want to see some consistency and you have promised yourself that 2020 is going to be different, I invite you to come and join us so that I can see how I can help you in your journey and get you your fastest path to cash as quickly as we possibly can, because everybody's path is a little bit different. But I know that these 3 core things are the key to helping you to keep things as simple and easy as possible, no matter where you are in your business. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.